All right, everybody, welcome out to the log room. It is Thursday. I almost said Wednesday because we normally do this on Wednesday.
We normally do it
Yes, we
Wednesdays.
do. It is
My fault.
Thursday. It's all good. We drink beer every day when we can. It is Thursday.
Not every.
Well,
It is.
this is true. It is Thursday, November 12th, 2020. Jersey Johnny coming at you. And with me, as always, is none other than Mr. Beer Samurai. Say hello, Dave.
Hey guys, happy hour day. Happy
Hour day.
happy. That's
Look at
that's
that.
that's Ren and Stimpy, isn't it?
That's happy, joy.
Happy joy, right?
Yes, yes.
But it is happy hour day.
What is it,
So,
man? Oh,
uh,
joy.
I've always wanted a log for Christmas, and not the Christmas log.
Yeah, no.
Somebody
Uh,
call the police. Anyway,
uh,
so before we quote the whole damn TV show.
this is true.
It is happy hour day,
It
so
is
John and
happy
I
hour.
are celebrating happy hour like we tend to always do on Wednesdays, but we're
Right.
doing it on Thursdays today.
Thursday instead.
I had a team building event yesterday for work.
Mm.
They can be fun. They can
Yeah.
be fun.
Especially the way you did it, but we'll leave that alone.
Yeah, we'll leave that alone. We may get into it a little later. We'll see. But so John, why don't you kick off happy hour?
Why don't I kick off happy hour?
Yeah, what are you drinking?
I will kick off happy hour with the beer I'm drinking. I am drinking. I'll give you three guesses the brewery it's from.
I'm going to guess. My first guess is the source. My second guess is the source, and my third guess is the source.
You would be correct on at least one of them.
At least one of
I'm
them.
drinking Visual. Whoops, there we go. Visual Cortex, right there.
Visual cortex. Is that what you get when you're doing brain surgery on somebody?
That's why I'm doing this. Visual Cortex. It is a triple New England. A triple. I'm starting off with a triple New England IPA.
You're starting off with a tippa. Nice. So we're going to go with a triple. So I'm going to have to catch up on ABV a little later.
That's right. That's right. My second beer is lower, so we'll flip flop on that one.
Yeah, we've done that before.
This is true. I will pour this off in my Source Brewing 16-ounce glass made specifically for me. No, I'm kidding. Yep, I got a Liz pour going there. Look at that.
Oh, you got the Liz pour
I
going.
got the
Yep.
Liz pour going there. So we could talk for a minute. Yeah, they actually while it settles, this is the second time they brewed Visual Cortex. They brewed it a few months ago. It was the first time they had brewed a triple New England, and they loved it so much they brewed it again a couple weeks ago.
Someone up here, I can't remember who, brewed a quad IPA.
A quad IPA. What was the ABV on that?
I forget because I can't even remember the brewer who did it. I'll have to look into that and get back to you, and maybe go and find it and spend a real happy hour.
There you go. Well, while we wait for my Liz pour to settle, Brian Alt says, "Sup, boys."
Sup, alt.
Sup, Alt. How
Old
are
school.
you doing? How are you doing today, Mr. Altschul?
So
He's
how long
not
before
answering me. I'm waiting for him to answer me. He's not answering me. What the hell's going on with that?
Usually
So-
a lot quicker than that.
No,
There's
he
the
is.
crawl. You just got the crawl up.
There's
Nice.
the crawl up. So I will attempt to drink through the Liz pour right now and enjoy
Well,
this.
start off with the nose feel.
I'm gonna start off. I'll start off with the nose feel. Is Eric watching?
Mm.
Wow, that's really nice. Ooh. Hoppy, citrusy. Wow.
Hoppy, joy.
Hoppy, joy, yeah. Wow, that's really nice. That's a huge nose feel. Well, it's super hazy, as you can tell. Really nice. Really nice and hazy. The Haze Boys would definitely appreciate this one. Let me take a sip through this here. Oh, that's really good.
Yeah,
Whew. A lot of pineapple in that.
really nice.
Yeah, a lot of pineapple in that. No, by the way, folks, no fruit in this beer. It's all hops.
So it's a boozy pineapple esters, huh?
Boozy pineapple. I'm getting a little peach.
Okay.
Peach and apricot. Hang on, a little more. It's super soft. Super soft. It's really nice. Lots of Lots of oat in that. That's very tasty. Very, very drinkable. At 10% is what I mean.
That's 10%. Nice.
Yeah, it's drinking like a 6. Seriously. This is going to sneak the hell up on me really quick.
A 6. Oddly enough, 6% is the first beer I've got.
What's your beer?
Let me pull that out down here. It's we're going with a Beer on Earth one, because we've not mentioned Beer on Earth yet. Beer on Earth is down on West Fountain Street in Providence.
Yep.
This is called Think It's a Pomeranian. And if you can see, there's Walter Sobchak right there from The Big Lebowski.
Yep.
Played by John Goodman. And
Mr. Goodman, yes.
Says Think It's a Pomeranian, but as you can see from here, it is clearly a Yorkshire Terrier.
That's a Yorkie. That's not a Pomeranian.
That is a Yorkie. So now we know what usually happens. Anybody mentions anything from Big Lebowski, it becomes a Big Lebowski quote-a-thon.
Exactly.
So feel free to throw up your favorite quotes into the feed there. Brian, sorry, GIFs don't work.
There you go.
GIFs here. So Brian pretty much communicates entirely in GIFs at times.
Brian just said, well, he said he's hanging in there. And then he said he's not drinking yet, maybe later. And now he just said,
maybe later.
You guys got the equivalent to the untapped crawl, he said. So
yes, that's what he's got going.
He's got going on.
That's all Johnny's know-how right there.
There you go.
So we're gonna go here. So this is it's Nelson Sauvin, Galaxy, and Vic's Secret. I'm not getting that from the nose feel. I'm really not even close to that good. It says it on the can, so don't be impressed.
Yes, I would have told you what the hops were in the source beer, but they don't like to put them on the cans.
Oh, Pete likes to keep his secrets. So, well, getting melon in here, getting some, getting a little bit of dankness and tropical, like your little vinous notes that you'd expect from Nelson Sauvin.
Mm-hmm. You like that hop?
And I do like that hop. My youngest daughter's middle name is Sauvin. And Nelson. Well, if I'd ever had another kid, and God forbid I ever have another child, and it was a boy, yeah, we'd have to go with Nelson as the middle name. Well, this is drinking very melony, right on that borderline between melon and dank, and I'm drinking it out. I'm not sure if you can see the graphic on there.
Oh yeah, I can see it.
But this is the Rhode Island Brewers Guild glass. They do a great job
that glass a few times, so it's a good thing you finally brought it on.
Yeah, they do a great job up here. I've got the hat. I think you got the hat too, didn't you?
Mm-hmm.
And they do a great job. They've got the passport. Depending on how many breweries you go to, depends on what swag you get. I think the first swag is the glass. The next swag is the hat. And I forget how many you have to get the collaboration bottle. And I got that just as we hit the pandemic, so I've never got my collab bottle. I'm not sure if there's any still out there. But I hit a few. I hit a few of the 2 stamps that I don't have on that passport.
Yeah,
I hit yesterday because Veterans Day in Rhode Island is a state holiday, so we were closed.
Sure.
And that's why we did the team building event, and we started off at Newport Craft.
Okay.
And even though I'd been there before, I'd never gotten the stamp on the passport.
Last time I was there, it was not Newport Craft. It was
Newport Storm.
It was Newport Storm, yes.
Yes, I've got a glass from when they were Newport Storm. They still call their amber ale Newport Storm Amber.
There you go. I've got 2 Newport Storm tulips, a shirt, and a hat. So I'm set for a non-existent brewery name anymore.
So, but then we did.
I've got a few of them actually, but we'll leave that alone. So.
Well, for dinner we went to leave them. Well, for dinner we went to Newport Vineyards, which is also Taproot Brewing.
Mm-hmm.
So great meal. Had one of their samplers there, and then finished off at a brewery that actually completed my quest to hit all of the craft breweries in Rhode Island.
Oh, nice.
Which was nice. Went to 12 Guns after that, which was great. They make some great beer there. I think they're one of the more underrated breweries in Rhode Island. I think I've said that before.
Absolutely.
So if you haven't been there, you got to get there. Now, what's interesting is now I've hit all the Rhode Island craft breweries. It took, since I moved up here a year, but then again, there was a big, stay-at-home order, right? So that kind of put a kink in it. But
Just a little bit.
but right now it's going to call it, it's going to I'm gonna have to hit another one in December. Um, Beer on Earth, West Fountain Street in Providence, right across the street from them, is going to be Moniker Brewing opening in December.
Moniker
So
Brewing is opening in December. So you're telling me that you're bringing us out of that and into some brewery news.
into some brewery news, and we're doing now we're talking about a brewery opening. Did you want to do something about when we mentioned brewery openings?
When we talk about brewery openings, yeah, we were talking about that before when we were talking about we're going to start this new segment, new breweries. Um, Dave, hold on a second here. Sorry about that. Where was I talking? There we go. Dave, you said you wanted to talk about new breweries. All of a sudden, sorry about that, folks. All of a sudden, my phone is like blowing up because
That would be Brian and Gene.
that would be Brian and Gene going crazy there. So I apologize for that. All right, back to reality. Here we go. No, we talked about that before. We said anytime there's a new breweries opening up, we'd bring that up on the show since we do the show every week. And if there's not any new breweries opening up, of course we wouldn't, mention any new breweries since there wouldn't be any. So, but we could always talk about times when there were new breweries in the past opened up and any interesting times we might have had going to their grand openings, so to speak. But we also thought about, and Gene, if you're watching, you probably have some of the most interesting stories of anybody since you attend and like are part owner of pretty much almost a Jersey too.
Oh, you mean Gene? You talking about me or Gene?
I think. There we go. We just got locked up for a second.
Yes, we did. We're gonna have to quiet these guys down a little bit. Your audio just went a little wonky there, John.
There we go. You there?
Yes, we lost Johnny for a little bit. Or did we? So where were you? Folks, I'm not sure which one of us you can hear.
There we go.
We're obviously having some technical difficulties.
There we go. We had a weird internet thing happen there, folks. Can you hear me now, Dave?
I can hear you now.
It's not you. It's not me. It's the internet.
The interwebs. Damn that Al Gore.
Damn Al Gore. I don't believe him. Well, didn't somebody buy the internet from him? I'm not sure. But anyway, back to this. Where were we? So, yes. Why don't you tell us about the new brewery? Why don't you tell us about the new brewery since it's been scrolling across the bottom, across the street from Beer on Earth?
Well, I don't know much about it at this point. They originally said they're going to open in fall. They're saying December. Now December is still fall, so they got till the 21st for both things to be true.
This is true.
But I imagine they'll open before Christmas, so they will be opening in fall. But being right across from Beer on Earth and right down the street from there is Bayberry Beer Hall.
Nice.
So that's going to be quite a tipsy little block right there.
It should be. I'll have
to
make sure I get up there for that.
Yeah, right in the middle of it is a Planet Hollywood.
Well,
yeah,
that fits in there.
Slots
in very well with that.
Going to run some taps right into it.
Yeah, I'm sure they're going to tap a lot of that. A lot of that could be Planet Hollywood. Yeah, maybe they will though. You never know. Depends on who the manager is and how many. What taps are mandated and which aren't. I've been to a few corporate places, and you'd be shocked at not many of them, mind you, but I've been to a few corporate places that actually had decent beer, local beer on tap, and it was pretty nice. It just depends on what the corporate mandates are for their tap lines and how many they have and who the manager is too. If he wants to play around with that. So
yeah, the only thing that's a little rough about going to the corporate places, they don't always clean their lines. They can have great beer, but if they don't clean their lines the way they're supposed to,
right.
And it really depends, and it's not every single location of it. Like take B-Dubs, Buffalo Wild Wings, for instance.
Right.
You can get a picture. Meathead sent me a picture once of just the taps at a place. He didn't tell me where he was, and I asked him, I said, well, which B-Dubs are you at? Because they're all set up exactly the same way. and told me which one he was at, and that one actually does a pretty decent job of cleaning their lines, but not
Right.
all of them do. But they always, every B-dub, they're going to have local craft, all the way to the left on the the what I think they dedicate 3 to 5 lines to local craft,
Yeah, sounds about right.
something like that. So yeah, your point's taken that these corporate places do a smart thing. They'll get in with the local breweries and get a line in or two for them, right?
Yeah, I've been actually to a few places that have had maybe 12 taps, and 8 of them were mandated. So some of these managers in those establishments, if they're craft beer oriented, they're going to bring in local stuff on those other 4 lines. And sometimes you run into a couple of places, a couple locations that they'll have a few open lines that they're not mandated, and you have a manager in there that really doesn't know the industry, so he's leaving it up to his distributor. Yeah, put whatever you think is good on there, that kind of a thing. And of course, they're going to put whatever they're going to make the most money in their spiffs and everything else in there. So,
but none of this is news to us. But you do have some news, from what I understand.
this is true. Also, just before we get to that news, I just wanted to mention there were a couple of new breweries that opened up in New Jersey just recently.
Well, Heights, right?
Within the last, Old Heights opened up over the summer, but just
Over the summer.
within the last couple of weeks, we've had 2 breweries open up in New Jersey. In Edison, South 40 opened up.
South 40.
South 40 Brewing.
Okay.
And they're brewing some interesting stuff, just interesting things. They got their menu up right here. They have a Pils, they have a Blonde Ale, they have a Pale Ale. They have it separated out in their menu too. I'm looking at it. It's beginner, intermediate, and advanced.
So they've got a gateway flight.
Right. So their beginner beers are their Pils, their blonde, and their pale.
Right.
Intermediate is Oktoberfest. They have a Dunkel, and a coffee stout. And then their advanced are 2 double IPAs. So, and their 2 double IPAs are pushing 9%. So I'm interested in heading up there. I'd love to. I need to get up there and try a couple of those, and I'll report back.
It's funny because when I lived in Morris Plains, to me, Edison was down there, but yes, to you, it's up there, isn't it?
For me, it's up there. Yeah, I mean, years ago when I lived in North Jersey, it was down there too. So, but yeah, it's up to Edison. It's only about a half an hour for me, maybe 40 minutes.
So what's the other brewery?
The other brewery is Alternate Ending Beer Company.
I've heard of them.
Alternate Ending Beer Company. Yeah, they just opened up 2 weeks ago yesterday. It's actually a brew pub.
Okay.
They are canning. They're on beer broadcast. They do can releases. They have can pickups and growler pickups at the brewery. They're selling beer to go, but they're technically a brew pub. They have other libations as well as beer. They have guest taps and they have food too. So
nice.
And a lot of their beers are their puns, if you will, on movie quotes or stuff like that. They have Sloan New, which is a nod to Sloan from Ferris Bueller. I think if I recall reading the tagline on the can, it was Ferris Bueller must have been Batman or something like that, and Sloan knew. But then they have
Cameron, did you watch me change?
Yeah, right. But then they have Total Consciousness, which of course is a nod to Caddyshack, right?
Yes. So I got that going for me.
Yeah, so
it's nice.
Which is nice. So, and then then the other one that I remember they just released last week, I believe, or yeah, I think it was last week, was Mostly Dead.
Mostly dead. Mostly dead.
Yeah. Your friend is only mostly dead.
Liar! I'm not a witch. I'm your wife.
He said to blave, which is to bluff.
So speaking of movie quotes, how are we doing on the Lebowski quotes on the feed?
None.
I am so disappointed.
People are watching. Come on, give us your Lebowski quotes. Come on, give us your Lebowski quotes.
Well, Wells isn't watching then.
No, if Wells was watching, we'd have about 90 of them already.
At least.
So, but yeah, so that's the New Jersey new brewery news. That's within the last couple of weeks. 2 weeks ago, I believe the 24th was when South 40 opened up, which is 3 weeks ago this coming Saturday. And Alternate Ending, by the way, is at Aberdeen, by the way. It's closer to me.
Aberdeen.
Yeah, it's not too
Yes.
far away. It's only about maybe 10 minutes north of Source on 34. They're right on 34, north of Source in Aberdeen. And they opened up 2 weeks ago. Yesterday was their grand opening.
Nice.
So, but I
Well,
digress.
happy 2-week anniversary.
Happy 2-week and / 3-week anniversary to both of those breweries. Cheers.
Speaking of Smug Brewing, just recently turned 2 years old.
Smug did it.
Yep. End of October.
Nice.
So happy birthday to those guys.
Happy birthday, Smug. There we go. We have a comment here. Let's jump to the comment. There we go.
There you go. You're out of your element. This is somebody who's never even seen the movie, by the way.
Somebody who's never seen the movie making a comment about the movie.
Making the only person making the quote about the Big Lebowski, someone who's not even seen the movie yet. The rest of you should be embarrassed.
There you go.
There you
Jump in there, guys. Come on. All right. Well, again, that brings us to a little bit more news.
News? What's new, Johnny?
What's news? Hang on. I'm trying to get to the banners here. Oh, all right. We'll skip the banners.
Okay, so the guy working the crawl's been fired.
No, something's up with this feed today, and I apologize to anybody that's watching it, and even if you're rewatching it or listening to the audio podcast once we post it, I apologize for these issues. It is not us. And here we go again. We locked up. Hold on. Hopefully we get it back. Sorry, folks. If you can hear me still talking.
The suspense is delicious.
Dave, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, there we go. I think our feed was locked up. I'm not sure where it was locked up, but it was locked up. So there we go. Again, folks, I apologize for all of these technical issues. We will be looking into why they're happening and trust in the fact that we will get to the bottom of it, and this will not happen again. Anyway, brewery news, folks. Industry news, I should say. Industry news. Well, to the best of our ability, they will not happen again. There you go. Couple things. One, any of you are aware, EBF, Extreme Beer Fest, happens every year up in Boston, Massachusetts, run by Beer Advocate, and partnered with Dogfish Head and Sam Adams. It's a great beer fest. I've been many times. It is a wonderful time. This year, they did it this year. They were able to get it in because it's always the first week in February. So at that point, we weren't under the pandemic. I was up there, and it was a wonderful time as always. But this year coming up, the outlook for beer fests is not good. So they're doing a cyberspace Extreme Beer Fest.
Now, how is that going to work?
I'll give you the gist of it, and you can always go to Beer Advocate and get all the information. I will post it on the Lager Room Facebook page and Twitter and Instagram as well and I will also put up a little link on the website as well. Our website, by the way, www.lagerroom.com. It's LAGERROOM.com. I will put that up as well right after this show. So if you want to go check it out. If you don't feel like Googling it yourself, just just stay on the page and it'll pop up and you can click the link at that point. Anyway, they're partnering with Halftime Beverage out of New York. That's up in Mamaroneck, and there's another one I think a little bit further north up the Hudson Valley. They're distributing packages of, I believe, 10 or 12 beers, and they're going to have online tasting with the brewers, including Sam Clagione from Dogfish Head and everybody else that they're getting involved. A couple nods to, I believe, Great Notion is in there. Modest from Minneapolis is supplying a beer for that. And I've been to Modest. Amazing beer. Great brewery in Minneapolis if you ever get up that way. We'll talk more about that when we talk about beers from up in the northern Midwest, if you will. But in any event, back to Extreme Beer Fest. They're distributing these beers. So basically, you go online and you pay the fee, and you get your package sent to you, and it'll arrive before the beer fest taking place. And it's going to be the same thing. It's going to be the Friday and the Saturday, the first Friday and Saturday in February, Super Bowl weekend, basically, assuming the Super Bowl is on the same weekend this year.
You never know.
Depends on what happens with the NFL season. We'll see how that goes. But seems to be okay right now. But, fingers crossed, it'll be Super Bowl weekend. Either way, this will be that weekend. And you get your beer and you go online, and you can only go online. You can only obviously get in because they're going to give you a code once you pay, and you can interact with that. And it sounds like a fun time, and I will be partaking in it. I will let you know along the way. But this seems like a really cool thing, to keep the beer fest fires burning, if you will, while we can't actually go and have any at this point. But it's pretty interesting.
Yeah, I haven't made up my mind if I'm going to do it yet or not.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see.
It's pretty interesting, and each one of those, it's 10 or 12 beers you're getting, but keep in mind there's 16-ounce cans too.
16-ounce cans, and you're not supposed to drink them until the festival, so you're going to be drinking 10 16-ounce cans.
And it's over the course of 2 days. It's not like they're doing 3 different sessions like you would at a beer fest. So you'll be doing some on the Friday and some on the Saturday.
Okay, so 5 and 5, or
I don't know how they're going to break it out. Maybe
five's not too bad.
We'll see. But they do say that if you have a couple of people, like if you're a couple, husband and wife, or whatever, just a couple friends, you can get one. Actually, I think I read that.
Sure.
So if I didn't read that, don't quote me on it, because I don't want them to get. I don't want
Jason will yell at you.
No. I don't want to get anybody aggravated at me. So check that out. I believe I read that, but I'm not sure. But either way, I'm sure they're not going to tell you that you must drink all 16 ounces of each beer yourself. You're buying the beer. You do what you want with it. So
hey, but you're sitting at home on your computer, so it's not being all that irresponsible.
And I'm sure they're not going to tell you to kick somebody out of the room either. So, but either way, go check it out. It seems like a really cool idea. I'm definitely going to partake, and I know a few people that are. We had a few comments here before we go crazy. Here we go. We got. There we go. There. Those are the only new breweries. Yeah, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
So he combined a comment on the program with a
big Lebowski quote.
Way to go, Brian.
Only Brian could do something like that. Good job. Cheers to that one. Thanks, Brian.
Cheer it, but my beer's empty. So
yeah, we got to get to that. Hold on.
We got to finish the news.
Finish the news. Yeah, one other thing.
More news.
No lockups here.
John had not told me this beforehand, because I did not know this.
Hold on.
You're not going to get my true shocked reaction.
I'll do it in a second. We'll try and get your shocked reaction. We'll try and recreate.
I'm going to try to recreate it. Yeah. I don't know if they give Emmys out for podcasts or anything.
We'll give it a try. Brian also said no lockups here. And Brian, as far as the EBF thing goes, the Extreme Beer Fest, he bought a kit. I know he was buying it.
Oh, that's not a Lebowski quote. Okay,
that's not a Lebowski quote. And actually, you're supposed to share it. There you go. It comes with 2 glasses. Well, there you go.
Okay, there you go.
There you go. Well, then I'm not going to buy it. I'm just going to come over to your house, Brian.
There we go. And hopefully it'll be warm enough you can sit back out on this deck. Exactly. Brian's got like one of the greatest decks in the world.
Absolutely does, but I'm not sure how warm it's going to be in February. So we'll cross that bridge at that point. All right, folks. Here's the news. Here's the shocker, if you will.
Hold on, let me get into character here.
Get into character.
What's my motivation? You'll tell me my motivation. Go ahead.
Shelton Brothers Importers will soon cease operations.
What?
Folks, that's basically pretty much how he reacted. That was actually a really good recreation.
Oh, that was a punch to the gut.
And if you're listening to this,
fantastic beers that they distribute into this country.
It's insane. It's insane. I can't, I'm reading through, I sifted through, folks. I'll post a link to this too on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, which are, by the way, all at the Lager Room. I'll post a link to them and also on the website. Sifting through it in a nutshell, they're basically blaming COVID, and it's not out of the realm of possibility, because while they do a lot of package off-prem liquor store sales, if you will, the bulk of their business is on-premise. And even with the bottles, even with the imported bottles, they're going to on premise. A lot of these package stores are not buying their high end bottles. We're talking about Cantillon products here. We're talking about Fontainen, Phantom. There's a lot of really great liquid that comes in through Shelton Brothers importing.
Some of the best Belgians, some of the best Germans too,
It's
right?
amazing. Yeah, a lot of great European beers coming through Shelton.
Now I don't know if you noticed the shirt I'm wearing today. It's Chimay, and
Yes.
in a panic I went and checked to see who distributes Chimay.
Chimay
They
doesn't
are
come in.
no, they're Mannequin Belgium.
Mm-hmm.
So they don't come in through Shelton Brothers, so we'll still get Chimay, but some of these other breweries.
Well, they interviewed, again, they interviewed the Shelton brothers. I think it was Dan they interviewed. Dan, Joel, and Will are the Shelton brothers, if you will, and they're in Massachusetts. They're base of operations in Belchertown, Massachusetts. In any event, they basically again are blaming COVID. They're the big bulk of their sales come through on-premise sales, and they had no on-premise sales at all. I mean, in the beginning of the pandemic, they were basically down to 15% of what they were the year before. Nobody can survive that. Nobody can survive that. And they had some issues before that, and it was put out in the articles. But for the most part, that COVID did them in. But in any event, he did say that they're hoping that they can steer the banks towards an entity, whoever the entity is that's going to purchase them and not bail them out, but take them over, take control of somebody that's going to keep the importing going, and they're hoping that they're going to be allowed to have a say in it, but they're not sure at this point. So hopefully they will be able to. They'll be ceasing operations, but hopefully they'll be able to steer the banks into getting a buyer that will continue the operations. If not, all these brands are going to have to look to continue, look to other people to continue to bring the beer into the States. And let's hope there's not a lag there. Or let's hope what they're hoping actually happens.
I mean, there's even in COVID, there's a demand for the bottles, but that off shelf, not enough to keep them going.
No, there's not many package stores that are going to take in those beers. A lot, like a good amount of those packaged products that come in from Europe go to on-premise locations.
Right.
You're not. I mean, when was the last time you went anywhere and actually had a Cantillon that was a draft? They're all bottle aged beers, and they're bringing them in. Bottle conditioned beers, I should say, and they're all bringing them into. On-premise locations, and you're opening them up in the bars that were closed. So how can you survive with that?
Well, we don't always bring good news.
This is true. It's true. Well, again, I will post that as well. Brian actually just said, as you know, Brian's the star of our comments today. As you know, you're welcome. We can sit in the garage. There you go. That's always good. 6 feet away. Absolutely.
At least.
There you go. He posted this comment too.
We're not going to repeat it.
We're not repeating it, folks. I apologize to you folks that are listening to this podcast, actually just listening to the audio of the podcast, on our audio versions of the podcast that will be posted after this live video. But I'm not repeating that, so you'll have to go to Facebook or YouTube to check this one out. So, in any event, that will bring us to our next beer. Dave, why don't you let all of us know what you're drinking for your second beer?
Well, since you went with Visual Cortex, I'm playing off of Visual, and I'm going to go with Visual Artifact. Visual Artifact is from Devil's Purse. Devil's Purse is off from the Cape, Cape Cod. Okay. Up here, the Cape is Cape Cod. Mm-hmm. This is a rye strong ale. And when I saw rye strong ale, I'm like, well, I've never had a rye strong. So
I love a good rye beer. I love a good strong ale. So
yeah, I've never had them together.
I would love to know how this tastes, and if it's good, I'd love to get some.
And I'm underpouring here a little bit because we also want to wish all the veterans a belated Happy Veterans Day. Mm-hmm. I'm drinking out of a boot glass that I just got that has got the Air Force logo on it. And we, you know why I picked one with the Air Force logo.
I'm well aware of why you picked one with the Air Force logo on it.
My son is in the Air Force. He'll be, he's actually going home in December for a couple of weeks before he ships off to Italy. So this is for him. He's not a veteran yet, but hopefully he doesn't become a veteran. Hopefully he doesn't have to serve in a war, but you never know.
Well, I mean, even if you don't serve in a war, as long as you served, you're still a
Yeah,
veteran.
I guess you're still a veteran, right? So let's see. But Armed Forces Day is for the people currently serving. Veterans Day for those who did serve.
Right.
And Memorial Day are for those who died in the service of the country.
Correct. Or have served and have since passed.
Correct.
Right.
Trying to get, definitely rye. You got that little bit of sour that rye gives off.
Oh, sure.
I forgot to turn the boot. I'm right at the bubble.
Well, there you go. How was that?
I'm going to have to taste it again since I got a little splash in my face because I just watched Beer Fest the other night. Das Boot. And you would think I'd be smart enough to know to turn the boot sideways. That was my only problem with that whole scene is if you just start with the boot sideways,
you're fine.
But I think the whole point of it was creating that vortex to force it down your throat when you turn it, right?
That's pretty much why they did that, yeah.
Yes, the Eye of the Jew.
If you haven't seen that movie, go see it.
You have to see that.
Absolutely.
So now you can start because you guys failed so miserably on Big Lebowski. Go on with some of the Beer Fest quotes. See if you can
give some Beer Fest quotes. So
anyway,
and if you haven't watched Beer Fest but you've watched Beer League, give us some Beer League quotes. No, I'm kidding. That's a joke. that was the Artie Lang movie with Ralph Macchio in it.
Well, that's rye. That is some strong rye, and there are some hops in there. They've balanced the rye with quite a hop load.
How's the spice from the rye?
Oh, spice and sour from the rye. There's, like I said, balancing hops, but you would think it would be balancing hops, but you've got like a fight going on between the spicy rye and I can't even. Spices are stepping all over the hop content. There's a lot of hops in there because of the bitterness.
Sure.
We're trying to get the hop profile off of it.
Right.
It's hard to fight through the rye to get to it. Maybe before we end this, I'll get to it. But maybe because my previous beer is probably also interfering.
It could be.
But this sucker's 10%. That is rye. If you like rye beers, this is a good one. And this one's going to mess you up, I'll tell you.
Really?
Saying 10%, but ryes. Whatever the ABV is in a rye, it always seems a little more alcoholic because of the spice in it and just the whole thing that I'm just talking on my rear end right now. But
it doesn't matter.
But it always, to me, ryes always seem.
Got the banners back up and working too, by the way. I'm just going to throw this up there. There you go.
There we go. You got that going now.
There you go.
Hey, the banner's working. You're not the untapped crawl though. There it is. Now you got it. So no, ryes to me always taste a little higher in ABV than is advertised on them. Right. That might just be me. That's sweet though. And I don't mean it. I mean it in both ways, as in sweet, and also there's a little bit of sweetness to it.
Gotcha.
So kind of like that triple IPA sweetness. It's kind of got that going, which makes sense at 10%. Oh, I'm gonna sleep well tonight.
Yes, you will. Yes, you will.
So what are you going with your second one there, Johnny?
My second one is going to be I'm going out of New Jersey.
Wait a second. Now the thing is, when I one of the ways I tease this out is that we might actually be drinking a beer or talking about a beer that's not from either Rhode Island or New Jersey, and
that's correct. Yes,
and that is going to be you.
It's going to be me. I'm drinking a beer from Kent, Connecticut.
But we're staying in New England.
We're staying in New England, and I'll give you a guess what the brewery is. Because how many breweries are in Kent, Connecticut?
One.
That would be correct. It would be Kent Falls, folks. I'm drinking Substrate.
Kent Falls Brewing Substrate. And what style is this sucker?
Substrate Brewing. Substrate. Kent Falls Brewing. Substrate is a Schwarzbier.
Oh, I love Schwarzbiers.
I love Schwarzbiers, especially this time of year. I can drink a Schwarzbier pretty much any time of year, except for maybe in the really, hot during the day in the summer. It's a little.
No, I'll drink it in the heat too because they tend to be so light bodied. There's that misconception that dark beer is a heavy beer,
Right.
and we all know that Guinness drinks like water.
Sure. Dark is not a flavor.
No, and it's not a mouthfeel either.
No, it's not.
It's just a color, and some of the best Schwarzbiers, Kostritzer.
How's that?
Oh, that's a beautiful pour right there.
Let me turn the glass so you can see the actual
There you go.
source logo a little bit better. There we go.
And because Kostritzer to me is light in body, right?
Kostritzer is definitely light in body. I'm gonna find out about this one right now. Hold on one second. There we go. Nice malty nose.
Nice and roasty.
It's nice and roasty. Pouring. It's like super super dark brown. It's almost black. Super dark brown.
Which it should be, considering Schwarzbier means black beer.
That's nice. That's really nice. Little bit, teeny little bit of smoke. Teeny little bit of smoke.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Wonder if they smoked any of their malts for it.
I'm going to say that the smoke is coming from the roasted malts. I don't think there's any smoke in this because it's
Okay.
so slight. I can pick it out, but it can get by you.
I hope the audio is picking up the glug from the boot.
Yes.
Nice. So you get your roasty kind of burnt toast kind of flavor out of it.
Yeah, because it's not so much smoke as it is char.
Char. There you go.
But yeah, there's some nice grassy hops playing in there. Yeah,
like
not a lot.
like Saaz hops or
Yeah. I'm not sure let me look at the can. I'm not sure if they put in there what the cans are. No, they don't.
Saaz hops in a Schwarzbier would be very interesting.
I'm sure there's not, but yeah, there's definitely like a little. I mean, it's faint in the background again. I mean, it's really all roast you get. It's really all malts here.
Well, if they're using typical German noble hops, you're going to get more of a floral. But you're saying it's more grassy than floral, huh?
Yeah, it's not. There's a little bit of grassy hops. It's more. It's more. If there's any of the floral, any of the hop notes that I'm getting are definitely more floral than anything. But they're all slight. I mean, it's all roast. It's all chocolate. A little bit of coffee.
But that's what a Schwarzbier is supposed to be. You're not supposed to really get a lot of hops out of it.
No, it's just faint, like on the finish. I'm getting a little teeny little bit of grassy hops on the finish.
The kind of the Scotch ales of the German beer world, right?
Yeah,
Malt
pretty
floored.
much. Yeah, a little bit of bready sweetness.
I'm not sure if I like sweetness in a Schwarzbier though.
Slight, super slight. I mean, I'm
Super
trying
slight?
To,
Okay.
I'm trying to be really nitpicky here.
Yeah.
I love my Schwarzbiers, so I'm really diving into this one. This is good. This is really good. I recommend it. This is a nice beer. I believe, and this is not the first Kent Falls beer that I've ever had. This is the first time I've had Substrate, and I got to tell you, it's really tasty. It's really tasty. I believe it's the fourth. I did a little research. I believe it's the fourth time that they've brewed this beer, and this one was just brewed last month. So it's
where is Kent, Connecticut?
Kent, Connecticut, I believe, is a little west and slightly south, if you will, of Hartford. So
Okay.
like if Route 91 and the New York border were the borders, it's kind of in the middle. North.
So not far from Black Hog or OEC.
I think they're pretty much all in the same basic area. Yeah. This is just memory. I don't have a map up in front of me, so don't quote me.
May have to take a trip.
Yeah, that was definitely on the schedule. I mean, I definitely wanted to go. I've never been. I've had the beer before. I've poured some beer next to them in a couple of beer fests up in Boston, but
Not for nothing, since Brian's been so active on here. Not for nothing. That's about halfway between Brian and myself.
yes, it is. Yes, it is. Brian,
Just saying, Brian.
are you still listening? You and I might need to meet Dave at Kent Falls, and maybe we'll even stop at OEC. And yes, we can bring Scott. That's absolutely fine.
OEC. It's not a bad stop. If you like sour beers, if you like beers done in a
And folks, when we talk about sours, OEC, we're not talking about fruity 4% gozes. We're talking about funky barrel aged farmhouse ales.
Cool Ship.
Cool
They got
Ship beers.
Cool
Absolutely.
Ship. When you walk in, the Cool Ship's right there. They do the drier end where the sour, musty. That's where their wheelhouse is. It's not this inoculated, or let's let the bacteria get into the fruit and get things all. And there's nothing wrong with that.
There's no kettle sours coming out of OEC. So.
No, there's nothing wrong with that. And there's so many different.
There's nothing wrong with kettle
beer.
sours, but they're taking the time with these. And you know what? I'm speaking from a point of not completely knowing, because I don't know so much about the brewery that maybe they do put out a couple of kettle sours, here and there, but I'm not thinking they do. So
I'm not sure they do. One of these days, what we have to do is we got to get Tom on the show to really explain sour beers to us.
Yeah, we really should do that. And here you go. Here's another Brian Alt comment. Brian has been to OEC with his friend Scott B. Kozak. And Scott lives in Connecticut, and I just mentioned Scott before. So, yes, he loves OEC.
Yep.
Yeah. Yes, OEC is a great if you're into sours and your acquired taste sours, we'll say OEC is the place for you. But again, this beer, back to Kent Falls, it's really, really tasty. This is a really good Schwarzbier, and I'm big on Schwarzbiers. This is a really good one.
I've got to get you the one from Fox Farms.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah, I'm sure you wouldn't complain.
I'm not going to complain. No, I bet you.
I gotta get to Fox Farms again. They do some really, really nice German styles there, as well as others as their IPAs, their pales. Oh my god, I love the pale ales there.
There we go. That should bring us actually.
I hear that we've got a new feature.
I was waiting for you to say that we have a new segment that we're doing. We're going to start it today, and we're going to do it every week. And next week, folks, we hope to be starting guests on the show next week. And there'll be some weeks that it's just me and Dave, and that's fine, because Dave and I can fill this time by ourselves. Obviously, you know that if you've been paying attention. But
you'll get bored of us eventually, so we got to bring other people in.
Eventually, you'll get bored of us, so yes. So we're next week we're going to start with guests, and we're going to do these top threes. We're going to do that's our new segment.
And this, we discussed this for a little bit. We go top 10, but 10 can get tricky depending upon the topic.
If any of you out there have been watching the sports podcast that we do, normally on Wednesdays we follow this up with the sports podcast, and it's myself and Radio Pete and Harry Lugnuts, we always
hey
do
guys.
We always do. Hey guys, we always do a top 10 list. And obviously related to sports. But what we do is we put our own top 10 lists together for a topic, obviously, and then we blend the three of them together and come out with the top 10 of those. And we usually wind up at 10. But Dave and I were talking, and that would be difficult for him and I to do, and especially if we're bringing a guest on. So we're not going to do that. We're going to do top threes, and we're going to do our own individual top threes. So
and we like the threes, because 3 and 3, right?
Right.
33.
A 3 and a 3 next to each other, not 3 plus 3. 3
that'd be 9, right? No, that's 3. That's 3 times 3.
3 times 3 would be 9. 3 plus 3 would be 6. We're doing.
It's getting hard to math.
3. I know. I know.
So, but 3 next to another 3 is 33, and that was a joyous year in the beer world.
Absolutely.
Actually, in the alcohol world.
In the alcohol world, not just the beer world. The alcohol.
Not just
world.
beer. That was the end of Prohibition.
1933, folks, Prohibition was repealed in 1933.
And so this whole, advertising campaign that Rolling Rock had about the mysterious 33 on the side of the bottle,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we just outed you.
That's it.
That's
So,
what it is.
33. So we're doing top threes on that.
And
So
we are going to, because in the beer news, Johnny mentioned what EBF was doing this year. So we're talking about beer fests, and we all missed them, either attending them or working them. And John and we've probably worked more than we've attended.
I've definitely worked many more than I've attended.
Oh, I definitely have, and I think we both have. So I told him, let's do top 3 beer fests, and not top 3 as these are the greatest beer fests. The top 3 beer fests that we attended and had the most fun at.
Absolutely.
Make it personal.
Mm-hmm.
So you want to go first? You want me to go first?
You go first. This week is our top 3s. This week are our beer fest, obviously. So Dave, kick it off with your top 3 beer fests that you had the most fun at.
And these are really I'm not even sure I can put these in order. I'm
not putting mine in order. I'm just saying my top.
Yeah, 3. I'm not either. But we're going to start off with Hanapu. I managed to attend Hanapu. I can't remember if it was 3 years or 4 years. Pouring for Carton Brewing. That was so much fun. Mm-hmm. I went with Augie, and Rachel and I went down with Augie for the first one that Carton poured down there for. Mm-hmm. And Kane was there, I think, that year. And now Bolero Snort goes down to Hanapu. So we've got 3 Jersey breweries representing down there, which is great. And that's an invitation one. You've got to be invited by Cigar City. And it started off in their parking lot, or their loading dock, actually. Yeah. And it expanded into a park on the riverside. And then they took over a huge parking area outside of Tampa Bay Stadium. So it's expanded through the years. So yeah, I think I've been there 4 times. And I absolutely enjoyed myself every single time. I think the second year, Brian Cass was there, Dougie Edwards, Scott Wells and Bob were there as well from Bolero Snort. Even though they weren't pouring yet, they were down there having fun. And we had a blast there. The first one I met, one of my favorite people, Bob Lorber. He's a New Jersey expat living down in the Tampa Bay area. And he's still got the heart of a Jersey boy, but he is living life down there. He looks like just forgot who does Cheeseburger in Paradise?
Jimmy Buffett.
Okay, so he looks like Jimmy Buffett and Santa Claus had a child.
There you go.
It really does.
That would be interesting.
Bob Lorber is one of my favorite people, and I just enjoyed it. I remember the second one with Brian Cass and all those down there, and I think we started drinking at 9 a.m. We finished sometime around 4. According to Doug, I was sleep drinking.
I've done that.
Yeah, that's always a lot of fun. We had a blast.
Doug has done that. Doug has done that with me.
Doug, yeah, I'm sure he has. I really miss drinking with Doug. Doug and I, he's
drink ordered beer. I've experienced
drink
that.
Him and I go beer for beer.
Sleep ordered beer, not drink ordered.
Sleep ordered. We've
you knew what I meant.
And it's funny because there was a time that both of our tolerances were so high, we would get full before we'd get drunk. Mm-hmm. That's a
crazy time. What are the other two?
So there's another one that was Hudson Valley Beer Festival.
Hudson Valley Beer Fest is a great beer fest.
One with a couple of friends up there. And what I really enjoyed about that is I got to explore some breweries from New York State that I had at the time, because this was way back. This may have been the second one that they did. Mm-hmm. So got to explore some breweries I hadn't even heard of at the time. So I like hitting brew fests that are, a little ways from home. Because if you hit one that's close to home, you're gonna all the breweries.
You're gonna drink everything you have all the time. So yeah.
Right. So you get to explore these new breweries, see what they've got.
Well, it's a balance, right? Because if you go to one that's close to home, yeah, you're going to be having things that you pretty much already had and experience breweries that you've already experienced before, but you're going to be with a ton of people that you know, right? But if you go to another state and go to far away, you're going to have all new beers, but you're only really going to know the people you've come with.
And and those are the ones that I attend.
Sure.
Well, except for in Florida, I've worked the ones in Florida, but so the third one, maybe number one, maybe number 300 because the after effects of it. And we got to give a shout out to our friend Allison because it's one of her events. She throws some really good beer events. Her first one was a little rough around the edges, but she
Sure.
learned quickly. She learned very quickly
Right.
and puts together a great beer festival. And this one was Beer Bacon Barbecue. And this was a very specific year for this event. And I don't remember the year. It was a couple of years ago because they lost one of the judges, and I was asked to judge. And I thought this is going to be a lot of fun. I was
Wait. You were asked to judge.
I was asked to judge. Now here's the whole
Just
thing.
leaving that there, people.
I'm
just leaving that there, people.
Just leave it out there. I was asked to judge. I was very honored, especially considering some of the people I was judging with. I mean, these are some luminaries. Al Gattulo was one of the judges. If you've not listened to his beer show, you need to listen to his beer show.
Listen to ours first, but then listen to his.
Chris Mazey.
Nice.
So if you've not been to Urban Kitchen, which used to be the Morris Tap and Grill, right? Mm-hmm. But Chris Mazey opened up Urban Kitchen in there. Chris can cook. Chris can absolutely cook, and he was cooking for the VIP area there, but he was also one of the judges. So I got to know Chris from that event. Mike Kivovitz was one of the judges.
Mikey.
Mike from New Jersey Craft Beer. So if you don't have your card, get your card. It's a really great deal. It
NJCB card. It pays for itself in probably 2 or 3 weeks, and then you get the rest of the year to have fun with saving some money.
Oh yeah, it's a blast, and if you're on their website, all the breweries are listed. It's a great resource to know what breweries are open, what breweries are opening. Jump onto that website. But Kivovitz was one of the judges as well, and the only downside is the sheer amount of food and beer that you need to put into your body to judge an event like that.
Right.
Is inhuman. I remember at one point taking sips of beer and then taking the taster and pouring it under the table. There was this whole section of grass that was just so damn drunk. Mm-hmm. I'm pretty certain I heard the grass curse me out at one point and try to start a fight.
It probably did.
Yeah, one of the judges went to sleep under the table, and I said, "Don't sleep over there. That's beer soaked." But it was so much fun. We had so much fun at that event.
Nice.
And like I said, I got to meet some fantastic people in the beer industry, and the restaurant industry from that event. It was sure. Great time. So
sure, awesome.
Now your three.
My three are, you know what? I'll preface my three by saying the small beer fests are awesome. They really, really are.
Yeah,
I mean,
I love the small ones.
You gotta experience the small ones. They're really fun. Hudson Valley Craft Beer Fest, awesome time. It's up in Beacon. Obviously they didn't do it this year. It's usually in the fall. But it's a great time. And also, talk about local New York, Tap New York up in it's the end of April. Every year up in Hunter Mountain, amazing time. It's a craft beer and food fest, and they come around with tons of food too. Well, you got a ton of great beer to enjoy. You got a ton of great food to enjoy too. Quick aside, this is a question from Brian for Dave. Was that Scott Wells sleeping under the table?
The reason for that question is Scott has a habit of passing out's not the right word. He's resting his eyes.
He's relaxing.
He's resting his eyes. He's relaxing, and he usually does it prone. Mm-hmm. Anywhere he finds a place to lay down.
Absolutely.
There is a person in the New Jersey craft community, Gary Moyer. Gary, if you're watching, hey man, love this guy. But he's taken pictures of Scott reposed and placed it into so many different variations.
Yes, he's wonderful at the Photoshop.
And I'm not sure if we've seen more images of Scott reposed in other images or Christie sitting in his beach chair.
6-1. I think it's a 50-50 split.
Yeah,
Hold on, let's take a
I think it's
look.
pretty close there. So that's a
So,
great question
great
from Scott.
question.
No, it was not Scott. Scott was not one of the judges. Was Scott there?
Well, think about it and get back to it. I'll get back to
Huh.
the.
That whole festival was a blur.
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that Brian was just making a joke. So
Between the
yeah.
between the beer and the meat coma.
There you go. Yeah, exactly. Well, and there you go with the food. Speaking about food comas, that you'll get that at Tap New York too.
Really?
Great. Small beer fests are great, but my top three, and I'm not going to give them to you in any order. My top three, as far as having fun at, and a lot of them were working. Some of them were working. A lot of them were working, and some of them weren't. But my top three are EBF. I mentioned EBF before. Obviously, they're going
Extreme Beer Fest.
Cyberfest. Extreme Beer Fest up in Boston every year. It's an amazing, amazing time. There's so many people there. There's so many great and ridiculous beer that you're not going to find anywhere else.
I've never been.
You're not going to find any of these beers anywhere else because these breweries come and they brew these beers for this beer fest. And when they say Extreme Beer Fest, they mean Extreme Beer Fest. And it's not necessarily just extreme ABV, like crazy ABVs. And some of them are. It's also extreme beers, like crazy flavors, weird flavors. I'll give you for instance. I had a Long Trail beer, and it was an onion IPA. Now, onion we know is a flavor in certain hops, but when I tasted this beer, it was actually an onion IPA. It was not. It was not. It was not onion. It was not getting onion flavors coming out of some of the hops. I was drinking onions. That's what this beer was. And I'm not saying that's a good thing. What I'm saying is it's an extreme flavor. Okay.
But I don't like onions. So
right.
that's...
So if you like onions, oh my God, this beer's for you. So, but anyway, believe me,
beet beers? Any beet beers there?
There was definitely beet beers there. But yeah, my point is they're not having, you're not going to go to your local liquor store and pick up a 6-pack of onion IPA from Long Trail. They brewed it for Extreme Beer Fest. So it's a crazy time. I mean, would you say
that they try to out-weird each other?
Absolutely. They all try to out-weird each other. Absolutely. But I mean, this beer fest is so amazing. I mean, I've actually stood, if you will, and drank beer with Jim Cook from Sam Adams. Did
you get a selfie?
Of course. What's that? You asked me that question? Seriously?
John is the king of taking selfies with people in the beer world.
Absolutely. Well, pretty much anywhere.
You name a beer world luminary, and John's taking a selfie with him more than likely.
And other things too, but yes, definitely.
Some sports guys, some music people.
Sure, absolutely. And entertainment too. I have one with I have a selfie with Grandpa Al Lewis. So from the Munsters. But in any event, I worked with him one night. We'll leave it at that. Anyway, but yeah, no, Extreme Beer Fest is a crazy good beer fest. But between the beer, the people you're going to meet, the people you're going to talk to, the time you're going to have there, I recommend doing this Cyberspace Extreme Beer Fest this year because the beer is just insane, and I can't wait to try these 10 or 12 beers or whatever that are beer. It might be 16. It might be more than that. I think it's 10 or 12. I'm not quite sure. I looked at it. It's been a bit since I looked at it, but again, I'm gonna post the links on the Facebook page and everywhere else. But
okay, so that's 2 beer fests. What's your third?
No, it's 1.
One.
That's 1. Extreme Beer Fest. I mentioned the smaller beer fest where those weren't part of my 3. I said I mentioned beer fests. Extreme Beer Fest. My top 3 are Extreme Beer Fest is one of them, and I'm not giving you these in any order, but Extreme Beer Fest is one of them. American Craft Beer Fest. I'm sorry.
American Craft Beer Fest, which was
back
pretty much the same guys organizing it, but with different sponsors.
Right.
And that one doesn't actually exist anymore, does it?
I was just going to say American Craft Beer Fest. You stole my thunder on that one, if you will. American Craft Beer Fest doesn't exist anymore. American Craft Beer Fest used to be the second biggest beer fest in the country, and it has since ceased to exist. And that was about 5 years ago, maybe 5 or 6 years ago.
It's been a while.
Ceased to exist, yeah, and they haven't done it. It
It's
turned
another
in.
Awesome Brothers thing,
It
right?
turned into Micro Brew Invitational, which that doesn't exist anymore. But American Craft Beer Fest was a great beer fest. It used to be the second biggest beer fest in the country. Where I was going with this is another AC Beer Fest, ACBF, if you will, took over for that as far as the second biggest beer fest in the country. And that would be the Atlantic City Beer and Music Festival.
Which I've
And
never been to, and I
and
actually avoid it like the plague.
I got
And
to tell you,
actually, Brian, the most famous picture of Scott Wells reposed was ACBF.
and you talk about you talk about beer fest. Yes, it's a very big beer fest. It's obviously the second biggest in the country. But what's cool about it is this, and this is one of my three. What's cool about it is this. It's not just a beer fest. It's a beer and music festival.
Yes.
So they bring bands in. And I'm not talking about just any bands. Like a couple of years ago, the Mighty Mighty Boss Tones were there.
Nice.
So, I mean, they're not bringing in Journey, and they're not bringing in, anybody, these high-end. But, I mean, Mighty Mighty Boss Tones is not... They're not bringing, yeah. Well, I mean, you know what? Mighty Mighty Boss Tones, I would put on the same level as Stray Cats. Why not?
Stray Cats, yeah.
But yeah, it's really, really crazy good music, and
Actually, it's a Brian Setzer Orchestra now, isn't it?
Well, it's both. I think Stray Cats and the Brian Setzer Orchestra. But in any event, yeah, it's a crazy good time, and I've had some amazing times there. I've been to probably almost all of the Atlantic City Craft Beer Fest, and working basically most of them. But in any event, it's a crazy good time I've had there. So that would be one of them, and then of course.
Now we're up to two.
Now we're up to two, and my third. I mean, there's no mistake, and obviously, Great American Beer Fest would be up there too.
The biggest beer festival in the country.
The biggest beer fest in the country. The beer you would have, the beer you're able to have at Great American Beer Fest is just insane. It goes on forever, and when I say it's the number one, the biggest beer fest in the country, no
one's close.
Atlantic City is the second biggest beer fest in the country. There's a big difference between the two as far as the volume of beer that's available. Let's put it this way. You basically need 3 different tickets. There's 5 sessions. There's a Thursday session, 2 Friday sessions, and 2 Saturday sessions. Normally, there's only 3 sessions for a beer fest, sometimes less. But you only but for Great American Beer Fest, you basically need at least 2, if not 3, session tickets to drink all the beer that's available to you at GABF. It just goes on forever. The beer is amazing. It's the biggest beer fest in the country for a reason. And
everyone pays attention to the awards given out at GABF.
Absolutely.
So you see a lot of breweries will brag about if they took gold, silver, or bronze at GABF.
Sure.
And it's not like the smaller festivals where if you win the festival, that's cool, that's nice. You had a lot of your fans show up. That's great. Mm-hmm. Except for the ones with judges, and the judges could be partial. GABF, if you win one of the ribbons at GABF, the amount of competition you are up against is insane.
Right.
Like if you're in there for, let's say, a Schwarzbier, mm-hmm. which is one of the, let's face it, it's not a highly brewed style in this country.
No, there's not many breweries that'll brew a Schwarzbier.
But at GABF, you may be up against 15 other breweries.
Sure.
It's that large.
Yeah. And there are some breweries that actually send their beer out to be graded and judged at GABF that don't even attend or pour at the brewery. So
because they want that ribbon.
Yeah,
and
they want the ribbon.
Can you imagine putting an NEIPA in for judging at GABF? You're up against 300 breweries.
Yeah. And there was one brewery this year, and obviously GABF was not held this year. They held it online. There was a virtual. It was a. They did it differently. It's not what EBF is doing. They did it virtually. Go and drink certain beers, and they had a passport. I'm not recall the exact parameters of exactly what they did, but in any event, they did still do the judging. And there was one brewery that won an award from New Jersey, and I'm going to give Dave 2 guesses. I'm only going to give him 2 as to which brewery and which beer won that award.
That's going to be tough. I'm going to start off brewery wise with Kane.
That would be correct.
And let's see, the beer that won.
Hmm.
That's a rough one. They make so many good beers.
It's not a
Um,
long walk.
it's not a long walk. So,
No.
Night to End All Dawns.
That would be correct.
That's not
Anteed, folks, a night to end all dawns. It's their barrel aged blend of stouts, and it's an insane beer.
there's a reason that they crash servers when that goes for sale.
When that goes for sale, if you're not putting that beer in your cart on Eventbrite within the first
5 seconds.
not even within the first 0.3 seconds, you're not getting the beer. So you have to refresh at the exact right time and click. Your hands got to be quick on that mouse. And forget about your phone. Do it on a computer.
Got a robot working for you.
No. Do it on a computer with the Ethernet cable plugged into the back of it. No Wi-Fi.
Right into your skull.
It's the only way you're going to get that beer.
Right into your medulla oblongata.
Exactly. So, but anyway, that took gold in the Imperial blended.
Took gold.
Stouts. Took gold.
Wow! Congratulations, Mike.
There you go. But yeah, it's crazy. And to wrap this up. It's a crazy good beer festival. If you are fortunate enough to be anywhere in the Denver area or be able to get to the Denver area sometime the end of September, beginning of October, because it varies when they have it, just go buy a ticket, buy one, go to one session. You're not going to taste everything. I promise you.
When we're allowed to.
You're not when we're back. You're not gonna. I promise you, you're not gonna taste every beer there. Unless you bring 4 people with you and they're all getting every other beer and you're just standing there drinking. That's the only way you're going to taste it.
And make sure you bring a liver in a cooler for it.
Just bring a spare.
Yeah.
Bring a spare. And mind you, there's so many other things you can do in Denver, beer wise, in and around Denver.
Well, speaking of Denver, didn't the owner of Wynkoop Brewing run for office?
He did.
And he won.
I believe so.
And if you guys don't know Wynkoop is famous for a few things. One, every year they would give out an award for the craft beer drinker of the year. Mm-hmm. And you really, really had to fight for it. There's this competition is steep for that.
And what was the other award?
The other one is one of those stouts.
Yep.
So there's a style of stout out there called oyster stout. A lot of people, if they think about it, it kind of messes with their mind because they actually put whole oysters into the brew kettle.
And the shells. Whole oysters, shells, everything.
Yep, shells and everything. But it's the shells they're really going for because the calcium in the shells gives such a wonderful mouthfeel to the beer. And the oysters themselves get a little bit of salinity to it. So you're not tasting seafood.
Right.
It's not fishy, but you get a little bit of salt to it, and you get this beautiful, smooth mouthfeel to it. So an oyster stout's a beautiful thing if you don't think about it too much.
Sure.
The first time you try it, I remember fooling Meathead into drinking one of those because he said he would never drink one, but if I could fool him into drinking one without him knowing it, that's what he wanted. I actually managed to give him Pearls Before Swine. Which is that's 21st Amendment?
That would be 21st Amendment, yeah.
21st Amendment. And he enjoyed it. And when he saw me starting to laugh, he realized he's been had. And he had to admit that he actually liked oyster stouts. But back to Wynkoop Brewing. Since it's Colorado, they took a little twist on it. And rather than an oyster stout, it is a Rocky Mountain oyster stout.
And folks, I will raise my hand. I have sat in Wynkoop Brewing in Denver and drank in Rocky Mountain oysters.
I have not yet. I wish I had. And if you don't know what Rocky Mountain oysters are, they are bull testicles. Yes. And rather than putting oysters into the brew kettle, they are putting bull balls.
Yep.
I'm surprised that Bolero Snort has not copied this.
I'm shocked that they haven't done that yet.
Yeah, they really. That's a call out, Bob. Mm-hmm. That's a call out right there.
Make a bull testicle stout, please.
Or double. That's fine too.
There you go.
But those are the two things that Wynkoop are known for, and now they're known for a brewery owner that has run for office and won.
There's a lot of great things to do out in Denver. I mean, and like one of my favorite breweries in Denver proper in the city. It's actually up in Rhino, I believe, is Black Shirt Brewing. I believe they're still open. I'm not sure how how COVID affected them or what. I haven't been there in a couple of years, but really great beer. But there's a lot of amazing beer out in Colorado. So go. And just to jump back to Brian really quick, who actually the last time I was at GABF, I was actually out there with him. He just mentioned GABF is separated into north, south, east, and west. In each beer fest, in the hall that it's in, you can go to northern breweries, southern breweries, eastern breweries, and western breweries. You can go to all 4 sessions, and you still won't drink all the beer. So,
That's a huge beer fest,
yeah.
and that is a challenge.
Yeah.
Probably not one I'll accept, though.
No, probably not. And then he also just said, Bull Balls beer has been discussed at Bolero Snort. Doubt it will ever happen. He just said that. And just to go back to what I was saying earlier, he said, Journey, geez, you're old. So
Yeah, we'll
leave that alone.
reserve comment on Bob and Balls.
Yeah, exactly. So in any event, those are mine. So Dave's Hunapoo, Hudson Valley Craft Beer Festival, and Beer Bacon Barbecue.
Hi, Allison.
Hi, Allison. And then my 3 are EBF. Hi, Jason. Atlantic City Atlantic City Beer and Music Festival. Hi, John. John Henderson runs it. Great. He runs amazing festivals. It's not the only festival he runs, but that one is crazy good. And of course, GABF. So there's our top 3s for the week, and our first kicked off our top 3s. So. And we definitely have to cut that down for the podcast because that was a 25-minute section or segment there. So,
yes, but it was but great topic.
Great topic. All right, folks. That's going to there you go. That's going to be it for this week. We want to thank everybody for joining us. If you are watching this on Facebook, make sure you click that little like button. We want you to like our page. You can check out obviously, get notified of anything we post, and you'll be able to check out everything that we post as well. And of course, Instagram and Twitter, all 3 are at The Lager Room, folks. And our website is www.lagerroom.com, LEGERROM.com. Our Facebook live videos happen every Wednesday at 5:30. And starting next week, we will be on YouTube live TV as well, simulcasting, if you will, on that one as well.
Very nice.
There you go. And then, of course, if you're just into the podcast and you don't necessarily want to look at mine and Dave's face, and you want to just listen to the audio while you're driving, commuting, whatever, you can do so on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, TuneIn, and Stitcher. Just go to any one of them, or all of them for that matter, and subscribe to our podcast feed. You won't miss one episode at all.
Did we get one Beer Fest quote at all?
We did not get one Beer Fest quote at all, not one.
Not a one.
So that means either people didn't care, weren't paying attention, or didn't watch the movie. So
That's
one of
sad.
those 3.
That's sad. I'm disappointed.
I'm disappointed too. So, well, maybe we'll get some comments on any of the replays. If anybody's watching this on a replay, if you're watching this after we were live, please comment in with any Beer Fest quotes. We will make sure we nod. We give you a nod.
Either Big Lebowski or Beer Fest.
Big Lebowski or Beer Fest, either or. So, anyway, folks.
Or Ren and Stimpy, for that matter.
You know what? Ren and Stimpy. Do that too. Throw that in there as well, folks. All right. Once again, have a wonderful weekend. Drink a lot of beer. Drink responsibly, but enjoy yourselves. Enjoy and have a wonderful weekend. Take care, folks. We'll see you soon.
Bye, guys.